Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Dynasty Fantasy Football League podcast. We are here in finals week, not exam week, finals. It's the Fantasy Football Championship, so we're down to our final two teams. Joining me tonight on the cast, we have David. How's it going?
What's going on?
All right, so our final has come down to Colin versus Nick Corum. Nick Corum's trust in the process. Colin has been a perennial contender. But before we look at this week's matchup, let's get to our thanks. I got this idea from Jesse, my meme of the week. Here we go. What do you think? Right? We need trade a player knowing he will only score 3.3 points and contribute to their new owner's demise. I wonder what that could be about. I really don't know.
Nice.
All right.
Oh, good old Sam Laporta.
Yeah, everybody, roasted me, didn't like it. I had my reasons for doing things, and, right here, 3.3 points, really had one of his worst games of the season. Obviously, it's a dynasty league, and I can't just look at 1 week, but it did make me, smile seeing that he did not help Ben in any way, shape, or form. That's not the only reason he lost, obviously, with
we get no less than a point from Devontae Adams.
Obviously, I think one of the main reasons Ben lost was, as he calls him, Big Cock Brock, with the small PP game here with the 4 interceptions. He gets outscored by Jake Browning. It's just...
He didn't have a good game either.
Yeah. Ben's team's been pretty consistent all year, but I feel like he's had a couple of these kind of just really low scoring game. When his team doesn't perform, it really goes out there. So let's look at the playoffs as a whole here. So first round, Nick beat Doyle. I thought that was expected. This was just the ugliest fantasy matchup ever right here. This Andy versus Chris, who doesn't want to advance game? Bijan with his negative 0.1 points, and just nobody on either team did really much of anything. Had a couple like Rashad White, Debo, did all right, but to me this was the biggest surprise. Andy's team has been so consistent. He had won, I think, 9-10 weeks in a row. He had won. He was just kind of chugging along, and his team goes out and drops 78 points in the fantasy quarterfinals. As much as it sounds like, I was rooting for a team, or I did pick Andy in our playoff preview show to advance far. However, I'm just mad because this made Chris's pick fall further. I own Chris's first round pick. If he lost this game, I would have been sitting nice at the number 7 spot. But because he wins now, I got to sweat his third place game and see if I get the 9th or 10th pick. So were there any surprises? I mean, obviously I had that one big time, but would you have predicted a Nick Colin final if you had been on our preview show?
I think it would have been up there with one of my surprise championship picks. I think Justin Fields was doing solid up at that point. Dak Prescott was looking like a league MVP, so I think it was a fair pick for sure.
Yeah, with Andy. Yeah, so I mean, in the semis, kind of Colin and Nick did kind of just cruise to victories. Neither, Nick and Ben could have gone back and forth, but early on in that Monday night game, it really looked, Ben didn't really have a shot at coming back. He needed big games from both McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, and just didn't get anything.
Yeah, 4 INTs is just not going to do it.
Yeah, I know, and I almost bet earlier last week Christian McCaffrey to win the NFL MVP. It was 20-1. I was like, everybody was hyping up Brock Purdy. He's going to be the MVP, and I'm like, is he really though? are we really going to have him win the MVP just because he's a quarterback? So I was looking, I was like, well, what if McCaffrey snuck into it? Well, after that game, Lamar's now the overwhelming favorite, but McCaffrey's odds are way better. He went from like 20-1 to like 4-1. So it would have been one of those like where maybe now I'm looking, I'll just cash it out and take a few bucks profit or something. But needless to say, I kind of foresaw a Brock Purdy blow up coming at some point, just because I feel like there's, he was Mr. Irrelevant for a reason.
Yeah. He had a bad game earlier in the season too.
Yeah.
I feel like so.
Right. I mean, look, I'm not going to be one that says like, oh, he's terrible, but I mean, we're talking about the league MVP. I don't think that, I thought that talk was way overblown. So.
Yeah, I think you could argue, throw an argument in there for Tyreek Hill too.
Yeah, those two, McCaffrey and Hill, are the two that's like, if it's not going to go to quarterback, it should go to one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is the year to have it be a non-quarterback, because really nobody's been that amazing. I mean, yeah, Lamar's had a solid year, but it's not like he's putting up his video game numbers from the year he did win MVP. So.
Yeah. Yep.
So, so we can dive into this matchup. Obviously their lineups aren't finalized. Their people are gonna, tinker and check on things. I do know Colin did tell me that he's really, really considering floating, benching Stephon Diggs. Just thinks he's been underperforming lately. Let's look at the numbers here. Yeah, I mean, 5 of his last 6 games he's had under 7 points, and in 4 of them he's had under 6 points. He just basically has one game, the Philly game, where he scored a touchdown. So he should be a game. They're playing New England.
Should be a blowout game.
Earlier in the season, he put up a solid game against New England. So it's interesting. I'm always one that I don't necessarily love getting cute in the playoffs and stuff, but Colin does have the depth to do something like that. It's not like, if you look at his lineup as it is now, it's like he's basically sitting him for like DK Metcalf. So it's not like he's, rolling out a scrub or something.
It'd be interesting if Jacobs is out again this week. That might make the decision a little bit different.
Right. My computer did this last time too. It wanted to load a website I haven't been to in years.
I was gonna say, you got your degree from Walsh a little while ago.
Yeah. It wanted me to sign into my Walsh account for some reason. Don't know why. Didn't click anything. Didn't do anything. So back into this, I feel like Colin doesn't have great matchups this week. That was one thing I thought stood out. Hurts, Kyron, he's got Chuba Hubbard in his lineup right now. It's interesting to see if he keeps him in or what. But, Hill doesn't have a great matchup against Baltimore. Evans against New Orleans is Kittle against Washington, that's one where it's like you probably want him to score a touchdown. A.J. Brown versus Arizona, that should be a pretty good matchup. DK versus Pittsburgh, that could be either way. Like you said, who knows if Josh Jacobs is going to play? We'll see. And then Stafford against the Giants. The one thing the Giants kind of do is limit teams, but offensively. So we'll see how that goes.
I was going to say, was there anyone on his bench that kind of stuck out as a starter that you might make a switch? I feel like I see one.
I think I'd probably try to find a way to play Tony Pollard.
Yeah. I was thinking, Baker Mayfield as well. He's been on fire, and the Saints defense hasn't been doing that good lately at limiting points. So
right. Yeah. So, Tony Pollard's playing the Lions. The Lions, I feel like their weakness, their defense in general is just not that good. They seem to give up a lot of stuff, especially since Aleem McNeil's been out. Their run defense has not been strong. So Nixon, he's got this Lamar. Nick's got to hope for this game to probably turn into a shootout.
Nope, I'm still
out Tyreek Hill. Can you not hear me?
Problems due to my network.
All right, I think I lost Dave here for a minute. Yeah, so I'll dive into this matchup. Nick, he's probably going to, hope for Lamar to really go off in this game and for it probably to be a shootout without really Tyreek Hill doing a lot, although that's kind of hard to ask for. I know Nick was talking about playing KJ Osborne. Looks like Jordan Addison's probably not going to play, and Hawkinson is done for the year. So those two factors combined probably make KJ Osborne a pretty solid play. But I think the key here is if Nick can get a big combo from Stroud and Collins, assuming both play, that would be I would say that would be the biggest factor for him to pull the upset and win it all.
Yeah, I agree. And then the Detroit and Dallas game has an over-under of like 53.5. So if that hits the over, then Lamb and Brown could have a good games.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely going to be. Let's see if when their players play. Does anyone have a Monday night player? Is there even a Monday night game there's not a Monday night game this week because of the college football playoffs. So yeah, Nick's going to have. He has KJ Osborne. He has KJ Osborne. I know potentially that was another reason why I wanted to play KJ Osborne on top of Addison and Hawkinson potentially being done, is that then he at least thinks he has a shot for a comeback on Sunday night if need be.
Mm-hmm.
At first I was thinking that this was the late game, but I forgot they're playing on Saturday night, the Lions and Cowboys. But any other thoughts that you have here?
The only other thought that I had would be Devon A-Chain, maybe, if he's healthy. I don't know his injury situation.
Yeah, he's questionable. Missed practice Wednesday.
Even though it is a bad matchup, Chris McCaffrey just went off on him. So
it's true. I mean, over his last 3 games, it's shown here he hasn't really had more than 10 carries and hasn't really been popping off. So maybe he is trying to play through injury a little bit, and it's causing him to not perform as well.
Mm-hmm.
I
think really the focus for Nick is just Stroud and Nico Collins if they're healthy.
Yeah. So any final prediction?
I'm gonna stick with what I thought before the playoffs started, and even though Collins' team is very good in its own right, I'm gonna go with Nick. I think his team is hot right now, and I think he's gonna ride that to a championship this year.
All right, I'll just go the other way and just say, his team's been on top basically all year, and I don't see it ending. So, we're going to have our second 2-time champ with Colin taking it down and joining the other Nick with 2 titles. And the rest of us then need to get on our game so that we can have more than 2 champions here. So,
yeah.
And then, coming up, obviously, my plan is to try and get the league rolled forward as soon as we can. So then trading reopens, and then we can do a stream of some sort, like end of season, maybe have some fun, do a couple random things, and draw the draft order so then everyone can have their picks set, and then we can start moving. And then I'm going to do I want to do an a bold predictions for the off season. That can be in our league. That can be in the NFL, like players changing teams, big trades, anything like that. But my plan will probably be to try to do one of these a month for the off season, where we kind of just shoot the shit and dive into a random topic, or play games or whatever. Try to find things to do to keep us engaged and interested. And obviously there will be trades that go down in the off season that we can talk about, and we'll find some different topics to cover. So
I'm always down for a trivia stream. Those are fun.
yeah, you just gotta study up a little more so you don't,
Yeah.
so we don't have another Terry Fair situation.
Terry Fair.
The Terry Fair debacle of 2023. So
taking a shot in the dark.
I know I've been watching all these random like TikToks, that guy that goes around and quizzes people and can you name the top 5 blah 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 from this team? And have you ever seen any of those? Or they're pretty good. He does a good job. So those give me ideas and I'll come up with random stuff. And so you heard it here first. I picked Colin, David picks Nick, and I'll see you guys. Well, when I record again, it'll be 2024. So we'll see who our champ is and have some fun. So thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you later.
See you in the new year.